Hello guys, I want to start off by saying I love Schedule 1. Watching my favorite YouTubers play it is so fun. Myself, playing it has become one of the funnest games I've played in a long time. Everybody I know either wants or is playing it. I also understand that Tyler's working his butt off trying to get out as much content as possible for us, and in no way, shape, or form is this anything to antagonize him or attack him or anything like that. We've been riding the wild wave of Schedule 1. The drug dealing simulator has turned heads and sparked more than a few debates. And look, I'm not gonna lie, I was hooked on too, and I've been non-stop playing. There's something undeniably captivating about building your empire, running the streets, and selling drugs is stupid fun. But after sinking a good chunk of time into Highland Point, and I know many of you have too, a few worrying trends to start to emerge. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Is Schedule 1 built to last, or is this initial rush of dopamine going to be followed by a harsh come down? One of the things that struck me, and I know I'm not alone here, is the game's limited nature. Personally, I'm about 45 to 50 hours in, and it feels like I've seen and done pretty much everything the game has to offer. The empire you build, while initially engaging, doesn't seem to have the kind of depth or endless progression that keeps players hooked for the long haul. Think about other successful management games or simulation games. They constantly introduce new layers, new challenges, new items, and new territories. Schedule 1 in its current state feels like it hits a ceiling relatively quickly. Once you've mastered drug mixing, established your routes, and maybe decked yourself out with a golden chain from Blue Balls, what's next? The core gameplay loop is addictive, no doubt, but the long-term viability hinges on one crucial factor: evolution. Think about the potential here. Imagine new substances hitting the streets of Highland Point. The introduction of something like magic mushrooms with their visual distortions, or complex dynamics of LSD could inject a massive dose of fresh chaos and humor to the game. And this brings us to a crucial point: the development team. As I'm sure most of us know, Schedule 1 is primarily the work of a single developer. Now, massive respect to the solo grind. It's an incredible feat to get a game like this off the ground. But the reality is, maintaining and expanding a game of this scope, especially one that thrives off fresh content to keep its audience engaged, is an immense pursuit for one person. The speed at which new features, updates, and bug fixes can be implemented is naturally limited. And while the dedication of a solo developer is commendable, it does raise the question of sustainability. Perhaps down the line, exploring options for bringing on additional help, even if it's for specific tasks like art, coding, or community management, could significantly accelerate the development process and ensure a more consistent stream of updates for the dedicated players base here at Highland Point. As we discussed before, the passion and effort Tyler is giving to this game is immense, but keeping a game like this alive and thriving, especially after the initial wave of curiosity, requires a consistent flow of fresh content. And while the recent Schedule 1 update with Blue Balls Boutique and the Pawn Shop was a welcome addition, the silence of Tyler's Twitter for over a week is starting to raise some eyebrows. The sheer addictiveness and engaging nature of gameplay in Highland Point undoubtedly gave it a massive boost in visibility. The initial push is powerful, but it's not sustainable on its own. The fear that if these kind of impactful updates like new drugs and deeper empire mechanics don't arrive in a timely manner, players will inevitably move on to the next intriguing experience. Look, I want Schedule 1 to succeed as much as anybody out there. There's a unique and gritty charm to it. The core gameplay loop can be surprisingly addictive, but the signs are there. The game feels like it has a clear endpoint, the development resources appear limited, and the initial hype, while significant, needs to be constantly fueled with fresh experiences. Tyler, if you're watching, the potential here is massive. I'm sure you know that. The community is buzzing. The love for Schedule 1 is very real, but the clock is ticking. The introduction of new elements like those mind-bending psychedelics and more ways to grow your empire could be the key to transforming this initial spark of interest into a long burning flame. What do y'all think? What kind of crazy new content would you love to see hit Highland Point? Are you feeling the same urgency for updates? Let's get the conversation going in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you found this analysis insightful. Subscribe for more in-depth looks at the current games we're playing.